Hello, fellow druids. If you're tuning into this later, I'm actually going to give this a second to see if anybody joins. Should I switch to that? Able to see. It doesn't. I don't love how it does the live chat when I pop it out here. I'm going to give it a couple minutes to see. Some people might have signed up for some notifications. Obviously, this video, a lot of you, if you're watching the replay of this, I'm just kind of just giving it a few more minutes. We're going to be talking about the Lock and Load 2018 Keynote in mostly in how it relates to Circle. But I'm going to basically, it says there's 2 watching. How do I see? It says there's 2 watching. If you're watching, feel free to throw any comments out there, any questions as we go along. I'm pretty sure if it says 2 are watching, that one of them is me. Hey, yep. Comments about the treehouse. We will talk about that. Yeah, so we'll give this a couple more minutes. If you're joining me, I am going to be talking about Lock and Load's keynote from this morning here very shortly. I don't know how long this stream will go. This isn't using my usual formula, and we're going to try to do some stuff so I can show off some of the media that we got today. As a caveat, Lock and Load is still going on. All the information I have is essentially as of this morning. So it was 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. my time. So about I don't know, 5 hours ago-ish. So we'll start talking about it. So let's start high level, and then maybe as the circle details come out, we'll see if a few more people join. I don't have the biggest list of followers by any means, and I know a lot of them are international, so they could be asleep and stuff. But just in general, what we saw in the keynote, I'm gonna go high level over everything, and then we'll dive into the circle details. So they started off talking about we had Matt Wilson welcome us, of course. We were joined by Will and Will. They started off with some Monster Apocalypse news. I'm currently not looking to play Monster Apocalypse, but it does look pretty cool. It looks like they've thought about a lot of it. Looks like, and there's going to be more details coming. The releases are looking to be September, I think. And it's pretty good value, actually. So if that's the sort of thing that interests you, I think it's $50 for a starter. And those are resin, unpainted model. They're hobby models like everything else. And then, but you get like everything in that kit that you need to start playing the game. And then I guess they're looking to be releasing more stuff, throughout ongoing. So Monster Apocalypse came up first. I think the P3 thing was supposed to happen next, but instead what happened next was they actually announced another new game is coming out called Riot. Crap, I just blanked on the name of it. Sorry. Called Riot Quest. And Riot Quest sounds to me like it's aimed squarely at the Shadespire type game experience, and will be sort of you can play whatever. Iris is a model, but then there's some models that we've never heard of. I think there's maybe some level 7 stuff thrown in there. I don't know what they're doing exactly with it. They use the word Battle Royale, so I think there might be something with that. That's supposed to be released in the spring, they've said, so I'm guessing they're aiming for around the Adepticon timeframe, if I had to guess. Not a lot of details on that, like I said, other than it's a small skirmish game. It's on a hex. It's it's a number of small number of models. It should play. They claim you can play 3 games in an hour once you get it down. So we'll see. I have no specific opinion on that right now. It's sort of going to scratch a similar itch to Judgment, but it sounds like it'll play a little faster, but probably as a result have less interactions. No idea the scale of the models or anything really other than that. So more to come on that. Maybe on this channel or not. I'm just saying you might be able to find more out there. They did a video on the P3 stuff. And then what they did was they went through the upcoming theme releases, which of course they talked about Tharn. They talked about Scorn Immortals. They talked about Steelheads. Am I missing one? I think that was it, and I think they were purposely keeping it to a little bit smaller of a subset this time, maybe because they're not sure which direction they're going at the beginning of next year or whatnot. And they said that they were going to show basically what they had ready. And then, of course, at the very end of the video, they gave us the teaser for what the next faction will be, and that faction is going to be Infernals. There was a very Stranger Things-esque artwork they had for it. They had a little clip. You can go to their YouTube channel is Privateer Press Prime. All these videos are available there, so you can go check out the details and some of that on your own as well. But Infernals looks to be pretty promising. I think. Of note, it is going to be a War Machine faction, but it is not using Focus and it is not using Fury, and it's going to do some pretty unique things, and it's going to modify rules in some unique ways. And that's really all we know at this point. You can go back to the RPGs and stuff, and you can find some information about Infernals. I've not yet done that. I might. Anyways, it sounds like it's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be some cool models. I think there's going to be some cool play. I think this is going to look a lot more like Grimkin than Crucible Guard. Crucible is very standard. This looks to be very unique by comparison. So, anyways, as I was saying, as people are jumping in here, feel free to chime in with questions. We're just about to get into talking about the stuff we are all here for, which is the Circle releases. So they didn't actually in the video, just for anybody sort of looking at other factions, they didn't really talk a lot about Christmas models for everyone. So I presume that they are getting them. They maybe just didn't choose to include them in this video. They didn't want to highlight them. They weren't ready. They didn't have a good sketch or whatever. I'm not sure. Or maybe they haven't decided for sure what they want to do. Circles was included, though I suspect we'll test it at the same time as the rest of the Circle releases, because I know Will talked about Will Pagani, I should be more specific, talked about in the past that testing models from every faction all at once can actually be pretty stressful, just because there's a lot more interactions and lists and people and everything. So, anyways, without further ado, we were shown. I think it's 5 total Circle models, or previews, if you will. And we're going to start with one here. Hopefully this works. So this was, there's a little bit more video involved, and, you know, these are obviously just kind of snapshots. They didn't go into that full, like, Gavin Kyle thing like they did last year. Although I was a little sad about that, because I actually thought that was pretty cool. So here we have, this is the Tharn Blood Shaman. This is a female Tharn model. If you can't tell, it's a little, this is kind of a smallish picture. These pictures were posted in the Facebook group for Circle, and you can watch the video and find this. I'll probably go back and watch it again myself, just to make sure I didn't miss anything, or, you know, if there were any comments in there, but pretty straightforward this time. So she appears to be a spell-based, as you can read there, spell-based Warcaster attachment with Battle Wizard and Harmonious Exaltation. I'm going to infer from reading this that she will have additional spells on top of Harmonious Exaltation, because otherwise that would sort of be kind of light for a model, I would suggest. But Harmonious is a really cool ability that we don't have, and very not very different, but certainly a little bit more unique than our Druid Wilder. Being able to reduce spells by 1 is a great boon for a lot of Warlocks, potentially. I would say anybody who's kind of got spells they want to cast or cycle rather than just the benefits of like a free upkeep. So, like, mathematically, a lot of times that's going to play out the same way, right? So, like, a free spell versus a free upkeep versus a free or -1 on a spell is sort of the similar Fury efficiency, but it plays out a little bit differently in how it works, right? Because you're -1 on your spell. So someone like Wormwood can throw out a Hellmouth for 3, for example. That's not something, and like still bring Cassius back. That's not something you can do it for. It's very nice for somebody like Chromac 1, who previously could not get all of his upkeeps out on turn 1. If you play him in the Tharn theme, now you'll be able to. If you have Chromac 2, similar, 1 cost Carnage, because some games I don't even upkeep spells with him, or he can cast Lightning Strike for free, actually. That can be, there are times where that's going to be really important. Just trying to go over a few. It lets Morvana 1 Camp of Fury, Morvana 2. It's much better. It's like a really good turn 1 ability, actually, compared to upkeeping is never going to matter till turn 2, right? So you get a little bit more there, and we don't really know what else she does. So you know, we'll sort of see. Battle Wizard's always a really cool ability. I'm really excited. Just to throw out a caveat, we did not hear yet, although there were some tidbits I caught in another stream for the narrative event that was going on, that they are going to have some like dev chats there, and they're going to talk about specifically Nuala and the Blood Tractors changes were mentioned as they will talk about them there. Didn't sound like they were going to talk about them on any stream, so I'm hoping we hear through the grapevine what that looks like. Of course, we'll know when CID happens, but we always love to have our news a little sooner. Anyway, so this is the Tharn Blood Shaman. So that was the first, or well, I don't remember what order they were in, but that was one of the models that was previewed. We're going to see if I can switch here to the, so that was the Blood Shaman. So we're going to go to this model. Okay, the Tharn Bloodweaver Haruspex. She is an attachment for the Bloodweavers. She grants Divine Inspiration. She has Tactics Sacred Ward. That's what we know. From the art, I'm still only seeing a single weapon. We don't know point cost or anything like that. She's obviously based around offense, as you can see in the top there. So, you know, there might be another rule we don't know about, or obviously she's at least somewhat offensively oriented. Divine Inspiration, for those of you who don't know, is functionally and not by term it's Hand of Fate. So models in this unit gain an additional die on attack and damage rolls, and they drop the low. I point out that it is not named Hand of Fate because if you were to take this unit with Una 2, you would be able to cast Hand of Fate in addition to this. So you could actually roll 2 additional dice, drop the 2 low dice. I do believe is how that will play out. So not a ton here. The model's really cool. You can't see from this artwork, but she's got kind of like a thing that's actually like blinding her face. So she herself, maybe she'll have like eyeless sight or something. I don't know. Haruspex is, there's, my wife was familiar with this. It's like a, I'm a little out of focus here, sorry. It's like a word that has, it's a term for like somebody who uses blood to get vision, be granted visions or something like that. So pretty cool, a pretty, you know, makes a lot of sense obviously for our faction. We'll see how this plays out. We don't know if there's any other changes to the Bloodweavers unit, so like that by itself could make a pretty big difference. It does, I mean, I know a lot of folks are saying like, oh well, they're only POW 9, they go POW 11 with Gang, and they're MAT 8, but like this makes them actually very efficient, and that Divine Inspiration will also apply to their AoE that bursts, assuming that that's unchanged, of course. And Sacred Ward, I've already seen a few people in the Circle group have been like, oh, well, they're already stealth models, why do you need that too? But like, now you have models that are stealth and can't be targeted by spells, which can be really, really cool, right? So into something like Crix, which is one faction this unit tends to be pretty good into. It's just another layer of defense, right? Or, yeah, defense. So, and it makes sense, like they're anti-spell sort of models. So we'll see. Maybe it has a few more rules. At the cost of 8, I mean, you're making this a 12-point unit. So that's sort of like our budget unit in a lot of ways. Again, their points could get toggled a little bit. We don't know. And even with just POW 11s, getting that Hand of Fate, a lot of times people want to say it's similar to how do I want to say this? That it's similar to a +2. That's not exactly accurate though, just because it depends where you're at in the curve. It can make, yeah, it just depends where you're at in the curve. Also, that can stack with other abilities that we have, right? So we have some debuffs. We have some like, you know, things like Curse of Shadows, for example. We have buffs like Hand of Fate I mentioned, Scything Touch from Una, sorry, Chaneth, and etc. So you might see them start to hit out of their weight class, or you may also see that they're actually particularly good into infantry, because now even at Mat 6, you add in the Hand of Fate ability of Divine Inspiration. Could be pretty positive. I'm pretty excited to see what they look like. The models look really cool on this as well, or the model. And I've always really liked the Bloodweaver aesthetic, so I'm pretty excited to see how this goes. And then from there, we have a character unit. There they are. That we learned about. We're going to go here. Brigid and Call. So unfortunately, this cuts off. Again, I certainly urge you to go out and check out the video. So Call is who's pictured here. This is a unit of, they're twins, and they're from there's a little bit of fluff that they're one of the first generations after Morvana cures their fertility issues. So this is a character unit, 2 models. As you see, they have Prey, Gang, Quick Work, Tree Walker, Countercharge. I believe she has Quick Work and he has Countercharge, but they could both have both. I'm not positive. And of course, Heart Eater. This is a pretty cool unit. They're going to be a combat-oriented unit, as you can see. The models look really sweet. I wonder if I can find, I think, I'll try to download while I'm talking, that there was actually a picture somebody saved off of both. I briefly considered doing, like, playing the video back, but I thought that might actually be a bit much. Oh, yeah, we'll save this off. I'm just going to save this out for now. Okay, so I'll try to get the artwork here, because I think that's actually pretty cool. There they are. Oh, I thought I clicked it. Oh, and that one's much bigger. All right, hold it. Bear with me. So, move my head out of the way a little bit here. So yeah, you can see there, that's Brigid, that's Call. Pretty cool. You got a lot of detail here in Tharn. So she's kind of got the Blood Pack-esque bow. He's got sort of a Ravager look. I think they're going to be pretty interesting. We'll have to see what their stats are, what the rules are, what the POWs on some of these weapons are. Prey and Gang on its own. So, like, if we just sort of take... I'm doing a terrible job. Nope, going the wrong way again. There we go. If we sort of just take the standard Tharn profile and assume that it's not too unchanged, so, like, most of the Ravagers are 13, 15s with tough and 5 wounds. I would imagine he'll be 8. Just that seems common for characters. They may not be. I mean, that could go either way. They could have the rule the Death Pack have to keep them more alive. We don't know. We don't know if what we saw was like every rule. Basically, is what I'm saying. But if we talk Prey and Gang, and we're talking about him being basically a Ravager profile, right, and doesn't have something like +1 strength or anything like that, we're talking about being able to get up to POW 17 without any other rules, and that's assuming that he doesn't have the Brutal Charge, he isn't +1 POW, things like that, just from a Ravager. Countercharge is pretty interesting. We don't really have a lot of that in Circle, surprisingly. We have Counter Slam on the Gnarlhorn. That's about it. Again, another highly accurate ranged attack can be really useful. And 2 model character units are phenomenal right now in scenario play. So this is pretty exciting. And I'm pretty excited to see some more units that aren't the Death Wolves to be considering for corpses. So this is certainly a viable option. And again, as discussed, we don't really know the full extent of what will be coming out with Tharn CID for existing models. So there's that. And then from there, of course, we know we are getting Iona. I think I have 2 pictures here, but I'm going to go with the more relevant one. There we go. Okay, oh, that's way too small, I would say. So we have Iona the Unseen. We've known about her for a bit. There we go, we'll do that. And I can slide back over a little bit. So spells, she has Surefoot, Phantasm, and Abattoir. Anyway, I may have said that right. So battle group models get an additional attack. That's pretty cool. Surefoot, for those of you who don't know, pardon me, is +2 defense and can't be knocked down. So Ravagers love all of that. Honestly, anything loves +2 defense in Circle, I would argue, and be able to just put that out there. And that's model unit, so it can go on a Warbeast, can go on herself, can go on a lot of things. I would hope she has stealth, but it was not mentioned. Phantasm is a spell currently that is on Captain Phineas Shea, and that is target model / unit. When it is targeted by ranged attacks, those attacks suffer -5 range. So similar to the Windstorm spell that Kruger 2 has, but it's going to it's ranged attacks that target that unit rather than enemy models being in the control area. So that's a pretty good spell. Those are all pretty good spells. Not listed here, which was mentioned though, was she has Elite Cadre Tharn and gives them dodge, and that starts making Surefoot absolutely amazing. Because now Treewalker grants +2 defense in forests. Surefoot grants +2 defense. So if you have a unit of Ravagers that happen to be able to get into a forest, they have their defense 17 with dodge, and they can't be knocked down. Probably have tough, or they have tough. Seems good. Seems like pretty good defensive stats. I'm not going to throw the other picture out here. There was another one talking about her feet. It's real generic in my opinion, which is fine, but let me see if I can remember what it actually said. I think it said increases offense, basically. Time of the Beast is what it's called, and it says it gives offensive and defensive bonuses to Tharn models. So that's literally as generic as it gets. I'm assuming it's going to increase damage, and you know, it's going to be like +2 strength and armor, +2 strength and defense. Maybe it's like the exact opposite of Denegra's feat. So Denegra's feat is is like -2 speed. What is it? -2 speed, mat, rat, def, strength, death, and arm. So maybe ours is like +2 to Tharn models. I don't think it'll be speed, to be totally honest. But maybe it'll be a bonus, because I think it would say that. I would think they would talk about that. But like maybe it's +2 strength, defense, and armor, or strength, mat, defense, and armor, or you know what I mean. It could be +2 to hit. That might be better than it's going to be. Maybe it's +3. Could be +3 for Tharn. We'll see. Anyway, she sounds very exciting. The model still looks pretty sweet. She's certainly in the realm that I thought she would be. Having a spell that still encourages some battle group, I think, is going to be really interesting with her. It might incentivize that theme is still going to remain, like focused on having, somebody talked about this recently on a podcast I listened to with Sorsha 3 and the Manowar theme, which was that the way she plays is that her kit actually like makes you want to take Warjacks, but she still wants to play an armored core, so you want to take like right around that 40-ish point level of Manowar models, and then like 60 points of battle group, and maybe that's kind of the world she's going to play in, right? Where she wants you to take somewhere in the like 40-50 point range of Tharn models, and then and then have a battle group. Or maybe she wants you to stick really close to that like 60 point, and then still have a battle group that's relevant, right? So you've got a couple heavies in there and a light or something like that. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, caveat to all of this is is, of course, that this stuff's all going to go into CID, so some of these things could change, as well as just that, obviously, like power levels and defining and getting this more defined is still obviously going to happen. I said this a little bit earlier, but you know, if there are any questions on any of the stuff, or you saw some things and have some comments, absolutely feel free to hit up the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. It's been a little while since I've done a live stream, but I think I can still handle keeping the chat going. So that's the Tharn specific models. Then we got our one more thing, and it's a doozy. I would call it a doozy. I'm gonna find there it is. Oh, and of course my scale is way off. Let's see if we can get, the bigger this one can be, really the better. But I want to fit it with my head on the thing. So we have the Well of Orboros, and as you can read there, it is a structure that represents a powerful ley line location. It has some support for constructs. It also aids in corpse collection, and it teleports models in from off the table. So this is where a huge amount of our speculation has come into this mod. First of all, like, just a second, like, here is my wallet, Privateer Press. If you just want to, like, here, just, you can have this. This model, just the concept art alone on this, makes this look absolutely sweet. I am beyond excited to see what this model looks like. As you can imagine, if you're having a hard time seeing it, there's like a pool at the top of this that's the water that's running down. There's some floating stones throughout. It's a pretty damn sweet looking, at least model concept. The way this played in the video, this looks like this is sort of our Christmas drop. So, and it's really compelling to me. A lot of people are like, oh, it seems like this model is going to be really confused in what it does. Because constructs aren't in the Tharn theme, and corpses are in the Tharn theme. And you're like, so what exactly are we doing here? I have faith that it's going to make sense, and it's, like I said, it'll also go into CID, so we can give our 2 cents worth. Supporting constructs, I don't know what that means. Like, is it going to like do fury management? Is it going to buff their output in some way? Is it going to heal them? Is it going to move them? What's it going to do there? We don't really know. So we'll see. That could go a lot of different directions. Aids in corpse collection is obviously phenomenal, right? We're just talking about the Tharn theme, and I'm presuming that they're going to update, either this is going to be typed as a Tharn model, which would allow it to be taken in that theme and count for points, or they're going to update the theme so that we can take this. Because if it picks up corpses and doesn't go in that theme, that would be very, very unfortunate, in my opinion. Just because that's really obvious, right? I don't think I need to terribly explain it. I mean, you could play it in, you could do a Bones Chromac 2 list, I guess, and it would be great there, maybe right there. But aside from that, I definitely expect to see this in the Tharn CID in the Devourer's Host theme in some capacity. I don't know what that'll look like. I really hope if they do that it is going to count for points, because I'm already feeling like that theme is tough to do this sort of thing with, so we'll see. Teleporting models in from off the table, that has been the biggest speculative point about this model. What does that mean, right? And I'm excited to find out what that means personally, but my sort of assumption is it could be that it allows you to not deploy models at the beginning of the game, and then starting like on turn 2, you can place them within a certain distance of this structure. I don't know what the restrictions on that will be. I don't know how often you'll be able to do that. I don't know how that'll be limited. That's just my preliminary guess. This model will be deploying, so you get, currently structures are at plus 8 inches on the deployment, on the regular deployment. So if we're talking about non-bones, You're deploying it at 15 or 18 inches up the table. And, you know, if it places completely within 8 or 10 from there, that's going to be pretty substantial. Or if the teleport... or if the teleport like allows you to move afterward, that obviously could be compelling as well. The distance then would probably be shorter, I would imagine. So like maybe you place it completely within 5, but it can advance. So like mid game, that's not that might be. I'd have to space that out. That might be okay. This is a really compelling model structure option. Obviously, anything that's going to be able to help us pick up corpses, sweet. We need that help. You can still bring, of course, the Spirit Cauldron. But if you have a faction way of doing it, that could be a lot better. Again, I don't... also, all those numbers I said, plus 2 inches if we're talking about Bones. And Bones is obviously very strong right now, so I certainly don't mind another option that can play there. From the sounds of things, it looks like this is going to be... some people are concerned about it doing too many different things. I'm currently not one of those people. Mostly because it looks sweet and we haven't seen like a full stat line, full set of rules. You know, what's its defense, what's its armor, how many boxes does it have, does it have some sort of weapon as well, right? How many points does it cost? That's going to be a huge, you know what I mean? Like the current structures we've seen have been in the 14-point range, but it's certainly possible if this is literally only a support piece that it could go sub 10 points, right? Why not? Or if it's going to be above that, right, it's going to have to do more than what we're, or you know, what it does here is going to have to be sort of elaborated on. We'll have to see what that looks like. I don't think you're going to be able to get a 14-point, and I think both structures so far are in that point range. So I don't think you're going to get a 14-point, like 14-point structure, considering it can't move. And this is a lot of support style effects. It's still going to need some kind of attack or magic ability, or you know what I mean. So another thing there where it's picking up corpses, it's certainly possible that those corpses will be used to fuel itself as well. So this thing looks sweet though. I'm very excited. This was definitely the biggest wow factor for me so far. I really like the character unit. I really do like the 2 Bloodweaver solos. I think Iona looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm excited to see more about her. I'm definitely excited to hear more stuff coming out of Lock and Load, as far as changes and whatnot. And obviously, we do know the CID is coming. If we're lucky, it'll be sometime in July. Fingers crossed there. We don't know the timing yet. I don't think they're going to announce the timing yet. About the only thing I can guarantee is that the Retribution CID is pretty unlikely to start next week. So I think that will start right at the beginning of July. We'll see how long that goes. And then we'll see when this one starts after that. So those are the things we know about Circle. Like I said, just to hit up some of the other things. We had the Infernals announced. We had Riot Quest announced. We had Monpox stuff discussed. There was a P3 Rock Band thing that was kind of funny. You can go check all those out on the website. We'll certainly, I'm hoping maybe on Monday, maybe there's some more news over the weekend that we talk about, so there'll be sort of a, that one may or may not be public or, streamed live. We'll see. But that's kind of what we have. If there's anybody in the chat, I'm going to leave a couple seconds. If anybody had any questions they want to throw out there, or anything they felt like maybe I missed, so that the viewers later. Speaking of CID, would the change be realistic to have use for WTC? I would guess no. I think WTC is in September, so let's just assume fastest case possibility, right? Where did I go out of focus? Let's just assume best case possibility. We start the Tharn CID somewhere late July. Wrap it up late July, early August. Then I don't think we've seen any of these go faster. Certainly not faster than 6 weeks. Likely not faster than 8. So I would guess that we will be seeing these updates, best case scenario, about the time that WTC is actually happening. Probably even a little after that. That would be my I don't have any like inside info on that, but that would be my best guess on that. Yeah. So we'll see. I think post WTC will really be when we see a shakeup in what Circle's really doing. That would be my guess. I think you'll see the Una2, the Wold centric stuff kind of status quo through that. I think these new models we're going to be looking at, if they're coming out in October, I'm going to be pretty surprised. I'm happily so, but I'm sort of guessing that we're going to start seeing these releases right around War Machine Weekend, which means I need to get the VIP thing again if they do that, so I can get in line so that I can get a whole box of Circle stuff that my wife won't have any ability to paint fast enough for me to play it. But you know, we'll see. And it might be tricky to plan around that too. So I'm personally hoping that these things are in by War Machine Weekend. I don't think they'll be in by WTC. Okay. Don't have the most viewers in the world. It is sort of a random time on a Friday night, so I'm not even Friday night, like Friday afternoon, so I'm not super surprised. A lot of folks are at Lock and Load as well, having a blast. I'd like to make it sometime. Kind of bummed that I wasn't able to make it this year, but you know, give it just a second. As always, I'll give myself a quick spiel here while I'm seeing if there's any last-minute questions. But if you like my content, please subscribe, share us on social media. You can join in. I'm certainly going to be available to have more conversations in my Discord channel, which is linked in the show notes, on my Facebook group, which is also linked in the show notes, and Twitter, of course. I'm Cheddar Caveman there. And any of the forums you see me on, you can post in the video when it goes when it gets saved off here after I'm done. The one person who's been asking questions in the chat, it's past midnight for them, so obviously you're over, can I guess UK? Not positive though. Time changes 7 hours. Yeah, it's probably about right. UK or yeah, France maybe. Yeah, so we'll start wrapping up here. Thanks everybody who joined on for the live show. Like I said, we'll have more questions. Denmark, very nice. If we have more questions come up afterwards, feel free to post. If there's something I didn't go over here and it's a big enough topic, I'll certainly consider it for another show down the line. So don't be shy there. And we'll continue talking about Tharn stuff as I hear about it. I'm really, really hoping to hear more details about what Circle is going to see throughout the weekend. So thanks for joining in, and we will see you next time.